We'll now get the bottom off, and actually twist it around. Twist it that way. Well, and that's the lower bracket fixed. We've got the 4 lower brackets on and we've put the bonnet back on, so now what we need to do is hold the top bracket on, making sure the bonnet's pushed right now into your inch mark. Hold your top bracket on, put the lower bracket on it as if it would be when it was closed, and get your pen and just mark it 5mm above the actual top bracket. Like so. Then you can release that off, move the top bracket to the mark, which will give you that bit of a pull down when you do close it, to close that gap up. So having got it up to the mark, draw through your holes, like so. Remove the bracket and then you can drill through there and screw it on. Then you can repeat that for all 4 and then snap them down. As you can see now, we've got the bonnet catches on, it's all secure, it's in the right place, and what we didn't tell you earlier was, as we did it on the bottom, put in a piece of aluminium plate on the back to strengthen it. We've done exactly the same on the bonnet and the upper catch. Also remember to put masking tape all around the scuttle and on your light bracket to protect it so it doesn't get all scratched. Right, now that we've got the bonnet catches on, we're now going to move on to fitting the nose cone. We've took the bonnet off and we've taken the nose cone off so that we can get it correct position. We've realised that we need to cut some more out of the nose cone, so we'll come to that in a moment. What we're doing, we've fixed the radiator in position temporarily with just masking tape to tin so that we've got a rough idea where it's going to go and where it's going to sit. And we also need to know where the fan is going to situate, and that's going to go somewhere around here with some sort of brackets. Right, we're now going to chop out the grill area on the nose cone. And when you look at your nose cone, you'll be able to see that there's a line on the already indented into the nose cone, which you'll have to follow. And I'll just highlight that with black marker. There. So you're going to take the drill, a large enough drill so you can get your hacksaw blade through. And take the hacksaw blade.
See, we now cut the hole out. We've put 2 or 3 holes in to make it easier for yourself, and it's a good idea to try and cut within the black line that you put round, so you can then tidy it up with a good half round file or a flat file, whichever you prefer to go around there. And we've also, as you noticed, we've slightly cut the corners there and that allows you then to with your file, and you can go all the way around, and any little chips that you've got, you can file those out because you're stuck within your line, and you know you can take a little bit more out with your file, make that look really neat, and then you can fit it to your car. We've now cut the hole out the front of the nose cone. As we explained before, we've got the radiator roughly in position, just held up by some tape, as you can see. And we're now going to try and fit everything together. You've got to try and fit your nose cone on, obviously your bonnet, make sure you've got enough clearance everywhere, and you may have to just keep moving that around, altering your nose cone until you're satisfied that everything fits. So we'll start the nose cone. So as you can see there, as we explained earlier, we've already cut a slight amount out of the GRP, and we've also cut a slight amount out of the front there to give us enough clearance. And while Michael's holding it in position, you've also got to make sure that it's sat up to the underside of your car.
We did say that we will have to cut some more out of here. We're going to put the bonnet back on, measure the gap under the bonnet at the front, and then cut that measurement off the nose cone.
Just carefully. Yeah. Again, making sure your bonnet's aligned with your mark that you put on the inch. It's sat into the scuttle. You just fasten down the back tabs. So you can only see that we've got a gap, quite a gap underneath the bonnet here. So from the gaps that you've got on the either side, you can even that up and just keep cutting slight amounts out of your nose cone until you've got it sat exactly where you want it. You may also just trim your bonnet slightly as well to give you a nice contour with your nose cone here. And don't forget that we're going to have some snap-on edge trim there, so we want a little gap. As you can see, it's got a recess here. We want a slight gap in there, enough to get your snap-on edge trim on. So as we said, we can already see that we've got a gap, and we need to take probably about 3 or 4 millimetres out of either side, maybe a bit more.
Possibly.
You can also just gently push your bonnet down into place like that, and we can see that we've got around about a 10mm gap on this side, but we're going to even that up, I should think, yeah, and say that we're going to cut 5mm more out of the nose cone on it, both sides, and that should give us 5mm both sides of the bonnet, and that should sit down lovely. So we now have the bonnet and the nose cone in situ on the car, and we can see that we're going to have to slightly trim just a little bit of the bonnet away to make everything stack up together. And we're going to take roughly, say, about 7mm here, and that's going to run all the way around the bonnet, but in the centre here we're only going to be taking, say, 2 or 3mm off, and that's going to give us a nice shape to stack up to the nose cone. So we're just going to snip that off. Very carefully. So we've now got this nose cone in situ, and we've trimmed the bonnet slightly. And as you can see, the reason we trimmed the bonnet is just to make it sympathetic with the nose cone. We've got a nice break on the nose cone, that's how we think we want it. We know the radiator fits because we've got that temporarily in position. And as you can see, we've got a nice tight fit all the way around the nose cone and onto the lard bracket. As we've said to you, explained to you, just keep cutting little bits out at a time until you've got it absolutely perfect. The better that looks, the better it's going to be for you. And we've also got a little step in here that we've put in, and we've just tried to cut the minimum amount out at a time again, there. And after you've got everything sitting down, your bonnet's sat down, you've got no gaps here, it's all in situ. What you can do then is you can put a nice sweep round, and that'll make that a nice corner there. And we're also going to have some snap-on edge trim on there afterwards. We've also got the nose cone sat nice and level with the bottom of the car, and again we're going to have to make some little brackets just to pick the nose cone up underneath, and we're going to make some L-shaped brackets, some little angle brackets to fit inside, that's going to screw to the inside of the vehicle, and also it's just going to be screwed through the nose cone where you can't see it, and that'll hold it all in position. We'll show you how to do all that later. So now we can take that off, and we're going to cut that all down and make sure it all looks nice, and then we can fit it.
You can also see through the front, now that we've cut the hole out for the grille, that there's actually going to be plenty of room for the electric fan. As you can see, it's slotted straight in, and that'll be fitted with some brackets as well.
So the next stage is we're going to take it all off, and we know the fan and everything will fit, so we can make some nice brackets so sit them in situ where they are, and everything else can go back together. Now we've had his bonnet and his nose cone in position, we've tried his fan in, and we've tried his radiator in, and we know that the radiator was situated in a good position so it didn't catch anything. We could get all those pipes and everything in that we need to add on at a later stage. We now remove the nose cone and the bonnet again, and as you can probably see, we've added several brackets, and we've kept the radiator in the position it was in before with the tape on. And as you can see, we've actually made these brackets ourselves out of a off-cut pack, and all we've done is we've just measured up to the centre of the tube here that's already on the radiator. We've made a bracket roughly around 50mm strip there with an angle here, and we've drilled the hole the same size as the tube there, which I think is about 13-14mm, something like that, 13mm. We drill the hole, we put that bracket on to locate it there, that's to stop it moving. We've also done the exact same procedure on this side, obviously. Put those quite tight to the radiator, stop them moving. We've also, on the radiator, we made two strips here. It's roughly about 1 inch wide, and it's about 50-60mm long. And what we've done is we've put that in the vise, and we've actually twisted it, give it a twist, so you get the angle here, so it fits underneath your radiator. You then screw it to the front of your car, and then very carefully drill 2 small holes just through the lip of the radiator. Whatever you do, don't obviously drill into the radiator as that will damage it, but you are safe just to drill into the lip there. We've also got the exact same bracket on the opposite side, again twisted, and we've just self-tapped that into position. That'll hold it both in the centre that way and also into position there. That won't move anywhere now. We've also at the same time we've fitted the the fan, and we've got the connecting block here. You can have the connecting block wherever you want it, obviously as long as you put your fan on the right way around. you're going to be okay. And we've just done roughly the same sort of brackets here, 50mm wide, and we've bent them over 90. We've got that, just sat it onto the top of the radiator here, and then we've just made it touch here on the front, and we've just made the brackets to suit. Mark through your holes, drill those out. We've put 8mm bolts in there, set screws, sorry, and that will hold that in position, that won't move anywhere. We've just sort of tied it into the lip that you've got on the radiator there. So that's all in position. We're happy that's where it's going to be, and now we can go back to putting on the nose cone. And what we've got to start with is we've got two brackets that was 100mm long and 50mm wide. Again, cut off out of the offcut pack. These are going to be going somewhere round about here, probably. And here, maybe, I don't know, they might go down here. We're going to have to see the best position. We're going to put the nose cone back on, put the bonnet back on, get everything back into position, and we're going to keep adjusting these brackets till we get on. They're going to hold the nose cone nice in position. We're also going to have to fashion two little brackets for the underside of the car to pick up the bottom of the nose cone. And when you've got it all in position, you're happy, everything's how you want it to be, you can then mark around your brackets, remove the nose cone, screw those down, screw your brackets that you're going to make underneath, put your nose cone back on, and then drill and screw it all together. Obviously, at the same time you're doing that, when you're putting the brackets on the inside, it is critical really that once you take your bonnet off, the bracket is going to be hid inside the bonnet again. So when you take your bonnet off, you're going to drill through your GRP, your nose cone, and wherever you've put your bracket, when you put your bonnet back on, you're not going to be able to see any screws or anything like that in your body. So we're going to now proceed to do that, and we'll try and show you how to go on. We've now got the nose cone something like where we want it. I'm just going to
put the bonnet back on.
Push the bonnet back on very carefully, be careful. Also make sure that your bonnet's still running to the inch line that we put on the scuttle. That's looking pretty good, that's in position. You may notice that you might have a slight gap underneath the bonnet. But don't worry, because we're going to put some nice silver snap-on trim around the front of the bonnet, and that'll close any gap. So you do want really just a tiny gap, maybe just underneath there. We've got that pushed up, that's lovely, it's all looking good. So what we're going to do now is we're going to mark on the GRP, around the GRP with something.
So we need to mark it straight across there.
Yeah, yeah.
And then add another 3mm.
Yeah, yeah. So we're pretty happy that we've got everything central. Obviously you want your nose cone to be in the middle, so you want make sure it's touching everywhere where you want it to be. Make sure you've got it at the right height, because you can slightly adjust this up and down, as you can see. So you've got it exactly where you want it. All your gaps are closed up. So I'm just going to take a pencil, I'm going to run a nice line down there. Mark it firmly. Just put one down there as well, maybe on there. And you're going to do the same on the other side. So what you can do is take your bonnet off then. So now we know that we can keep the nose cone in the position that we require it, and we can take the two tabs that we cut earlier.
Well, if we draw a line there on the inside of that GRP, then that's the inside of the bracket, the outside of the bracket.
Yeah, so we know where that is in position. We can then draw on the inside of the nose cone, and there. You can take that away. Obviously the inside mark, you've kept the GRP exactly where you want it, the nose cone. You can then put your bracket exactly in line with that. Screw that to the top of the light bracket there. Then feed your nose cone back on. Put two holes, two self tappers maybe, or you could even put 3 or 4 in if you wished. You're going to also fashion the brackets for the bottom, remember, and then you know then that wherever you drill that bracket, that your bonnet is going to cover the screws. So that's what we're going to do next. So now we come with this bracket. As you can see, on one side we've drilled 3 holes, pre-drilled those into the bracket. We've also slightly curved the other side of the bracket to be sympathetic with the nose cone. So what we can do is we can place it running parallel with the mark we've already previously put on, and make sure it's on the inside of that line. And then what we're going to do is we'll drill through the 3 holes, and that will locate that bracket. We'll do the same with the other bracket on the other side, feed on the nose cone, and we can drill through the nose cone and attach it.
Don't forget to remove the...
Oh, and obviously before you fasten it down, we're going to remove the tape, and then your holes will locate your brackets, and you'll know it'll be in position.
Right, you can see that we've got the brackets fixed on now. We've placed the nose cone back into position, and now we can simply just put one self-tapping screw through there on either side, just to locate it into position. Put the bonnet back on, see if everything's looking nice, and if it is, we can then get some sort of fixing around the bottom. So, put us fixing here.
As you can see, we've now got this bonnet in position. We know that the catches fit nice. We haven't got any bad gaps on here. And it's also fitting quite well all the way around the nose cone. So now everything's okay. It's also still got the inch mark here. We know that's in position. As you can see, what we've also done is we've just fixed on the bonnet edge trim, the nice silver edge trim.
Right, as you can see, these are the brackets that we put on to hold the bottom of the nose cone. They're fixed to the body by 2 screws,
and we've also drilled a 6mm hole through that part there to bolt it to the nose cone. We then, after we put those on, we put the nose cone back on, put the pen inside, mark through that hole onto the nose cone,
Giving us the 2 black marks here.
which is giving us the 2 marks.
Here and here. Then going to drill that out with a 6mm drill, and we're going to use the 2 of the black screws that we've got from the underneath, and that will hold the nose cone in position. We've now got us nose cone into position, and as you can see, we've snapped on the some of the black snap-on edge string again, just to make it look sympathetic with the wing brackets. And as you'll know, you're also going to have to get in with your rubber hoses and your Jubilee clips and everything like that. So we're not going to fix this permanently, because you will have to take it off again to obviously fit everything, fit all your hoses on, connect up your fan and do other things you might want to do in the engine bay. So as long as you know that you've got that exactly where you want it, and it's not going to move, it's all secure, we're going to be pretty happy with that. Next stage, you might want to take that off and put everything on your engine, put all your electrics in and everything. So we're just going to leave that at that stage, and we can also put the bonnet back on and things after, but we have got other things to do, so we'll just move on to the next stage. So now come to the next job, which is we're going to come back to the fly screen again, which, as you know, we need 3 components, which comprise of the fly screen we've already cut out previously. We've got the first tube here that's already connected, already put on, and we've got the finishing strip here. So what we're going to do, we're going to take the fly screen, fit it back on. We're going to make sure it's in the centre. We're going to have the same gap here from the edge of the first strip to the edge of the fly screen, which I think is around about 46mm. Pretty good. That's in the centre. We're going to take the finishing strip, put that on, and your holes should line up with the holes that's in the backing strip. That's pretty good. Yeah. Then I'm just going to carefully run us, just make sure you don't leave any. Yeah, making sure you're pushing everything down and keeping it all together. Be very careful that you don't dig into your scuttle with your drill, and watch for your chuck, especially digging in that. And be very careful when it goes through that you don't punch through and punch into your scuttle in any way. Just put a fixing screw in there. So.
So now that it's fixed down at either end, we can now drill the remaining 3 holes. And then what we need to do is take it back off again, rub this finishing strip off down with some thinners, get all the black marks to fit, and then we'll do it in a nice coat of black, the same as the lower frame.
As you can see, we've now progressed with the fly screen, and we've drilled through the holes here. We've sprayed the aluminium strip black. We've also removed the plastic after you've fitted your fly screen. Obviously, you just peel back around about 1.5 inches of plastic first, put all your screws through, get everything fitting, make sure it all looks nice. Then you can just tighten that up. Don't tighten it up overly, too excessively, because that might crack your fly screen. And just make sure it all looks nice, which it does. And as you can see probably in the picture, you can just see the top of the steering wheel. We'll just put that on, just with a couple of loose fastenings, just to make sure as you're sat in your vehicle or looking through your fly screen, everything looks good. So we're pretty happy with that. And once you're happy with how your fly screen sits, you can, if you want to, you can just go into greater detail and just fiddle around with it until it completely fits down and you're happy. And once you're happy with it, you can then just remove your screws, take it off, peel back your plastic, very carefully put that back onto your scuttle, and make sure you don't scratch it, and just screw it back up. While we're here, this scuttle and the battery tray area, just point out that we've also drilled 3 holes, larger holes, 6mm holes, and put in the 6mm rivets in 3 positions here. We've also replaced the screws that we put in, the temporary screws earlier, with the rivets. We've also put, starting about 1 inch in there from here, we put a rivet there, and roughly about every 80mm or something like that. You can put as many rivets in as you want if you want to make it any stronger if you need to. So that's the battery tray also in position. Make sure everything lines up and you're not putting any strain on when you're riveting that. Just make sure it's all pushed up nice and tightly. And obviously remove 1 screw at a time and replace it with a rivet, your temporary screws. Now I'm going to show you several other things that we've done. As you can see, we've taken out the screws, the temporary fixing screws on the tabs here. We've replaced these with the small rivets, the 3mm rivets, because they're a lot smaller head and it won't interfere with your bonnet. It should sit down nicely. At the same time, I want to show you the snap-on trim that we've put on the